Good morning, all of you. In today's session, we are going to discuss about CSIR NET JRF Chemical Science, December 2018, Part C, Series 6 question paper, where we are going to cover 10 questions of the series in this Part C of Chemical Sciences 2018 question paper. By this, entire question paper discussion of December 2018 will be completed. Already we finished Part B session in the single lecture video, and next is Part C is divided into 6 series. Each series consists of 10 questions and 60 questions have been covered in the 6 series. Today is the last session where question number 111 to 120 will be covered. By this previous year question paper discussion, you will get the analogy of question paper solving, how the problem solving will be there, what extent of question toughness will be there, and what are the areas of questions from the organic, inorganic, and physical chemistry of entrance examinations. And it will be fetching for you in order to prepare for CSIR and also even GATE chemistry for all the other competitive examinations. Now let us enter into our actual concept. Let us discuss about question number 111. Here it is. So series 6, we are going to discuss question number 111, the decomposition mechanism of ozone. Here, ozone can be dissociated into molecular oxygen and nascent oxygen. This is the intermediate compound generated within the reaction. This reaction proceeded by first order kinetics denoted with K1. And this ozone is regarded as an allotropic form of oxygen and is highly unstable, can easily dissociate it into molecular oxygen and nascent oxygen. The reaction is reversible and can be convert this intermediate into starting material by taking reciprocal of this first order kinetics, right? So K inverse is denoted for the conversion of this intermediate into the starting material. And O3 upon treating with nascent oxygen, that get converted into 2 moles of molecular oxygen. This reaction rate denoted with K2. Now let us assume K inverse of O2 concentration is always negligible or very least when compared to K2 of ozone concentration. Then order of the reaction is, in this case they mentioned that concentration of oxygen and rate constant for this K inverse for molecular oxygen is taken as almost negligible when compared to K2 of ozone concentration. And obviously, in this reaction, we are taking only one starting material whose concentration will influence the rate of the reaction, so that it is regarded as rate of the reaction purely depends upon the concentration of ozone rather than molecular oxygen, because molecular oxygen concentration is taken as almost negligible, and whatever nascent oxygen generated can be consumed again so that it will be compensated. Only the option left with us will be concentration of ozone. It will influence the rate of reaction, so that reaction mechanism of decomposition of ozone proceeded with first order kinetics. So question number 111, right option will be option number 2, right? Let us move on to question number 112. Arrange the following molecules in the order of increasing fundamental vibrational frequencies. In order to predict their vibrational frequencies, first of all, we have to know what is the bond order present in that molecule. Bond order stands for number of bonds present between the two atoms which are forming the bond, which are forming the molecule. Whenever these many oxygen atoms are taken, in accordance with molecular orbital theory, bond order of all these will be calculated. Bond order is directly proportional to vibrational frequencies. Greater the bond order, greater will be the energy required for the stretching of bond, so that frequency values will be raised. So that let us go with O2 minus 2. O2 minus 2 is regarded as the peroxide bond, and in this we have bond order. In order to calculate the bond order, the formula will be half into electrons present in bonding orbitals minus electrons present in bond orbital. How many electrons are present in bonding orbital of peroxide? 10 electrons will be there. Antibonding electrons are 8. So that half into 10 minus 8 will be the formula in order to predict the bond order of O2 minus 2. That means peroxide. So that 2 by 2 it will be. So bond order of peroxide will be 1. 2 oxygens are joined by only one bond, right? So this is bond order of O2 minus, where only one bond order is there. That's why the stretching frequency will be lower, right? Let us move on to next one, O2 minus. In case of O2 minus, here O2 minus means 2 electrons are present, 2 more electrons are present when compared to molecular oxygen, right? In case of O2 minus, only one electron is excess rather than this O2 molecular oxygen. So how many electrons will be there antibonding? 7 electrons will be there. 10 minus 7, it will be 3. 3 by 2, it will be 1.5. Bond order will be in between 1 and 2. Partial, one end of bond will be there in this, right? So for O2 minus, bond order will be 1.5. Partial double bond, partial single bond character is there. So that it will be next level of energy for the vibrational frequency, right? And the next is about molecular oxygen. Whenever molecular oxygen was taken, bond order can be calculated by taking with 1 by 2, bonding electrons are 10, antibonding electrons are 6. This is the traditional oxygen molecule where half into 10 minus 6 was taken. The difference will be 4. 4 by 2, it will be 2. That means 2 oxygen atoms are joined by double bond. So that oxygen double bond will be there. In order to stretch this bond, we have to give extra energy so that its frequency will be still higher when compared to remaining 2. Let us move on to O2 positive. When O2 positive was taken, what we have to do? From the molecular oxygen, one electron have been removed. Whenever electron is removed from this molecular oxygen, the number of antibonding electrons will be reduced. So it will become 10 minus 5 only. 10 minus 5 by 2, it will be 2.5. 2.5, nothing but 2.5 bond order will be there. 2 oxygen atoms joined by 2.5 bonds. So that here, its stretching frequency will be still higher. The exact order of bond stretching frequencies will be 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5. This will be the bond order. In the same increasing order, their vibrational frequency values also present. For question number 112, option number 1 will be the right answer. This purely explained based on molecular orbital theory. Bond order directly proportional to its vibrational frequency, right? Let us move on to question number 113. It is also part of molecular orbital theory. One of Hockel molecular orbital of 1,3 butadiene is given as psi is equal to 0.60 chi1 plus 0.37 chi2 minus 0.37 chi3 minus 0.60 chi4 was given. So this is the statement, this is the wave function, this is the energy level of 1,3 butadiene provided to us. For this state, for this energy state, we have to predict its exact energy of the orbital in terms of coulombs and resonance integrals. Coulomb is denoted with alpha, resonance is denoted with beta. So that kind of energy parameter should be predicted for this wave function. In order to do this, we have to go with all levels of energy for this 1,3 butadiene. It is denoted with ground level energy psi1. Ground level energy psi1, all bonding interactions will be there. C1 psi1 plus C2 psi2 plus C3 psi3 plus C4 psi4. All are bonding interactions. So there is no probability of finding electron 0. That's why number of nodal planes becomes 0. All are bonding only. Electron density will be higher in case of this one. Whenever we move for next level of energy for 1,3 butadiene, here is one bonding interaction, here is one bonding interaction at the terminal centers, but in between you can find one side positive and either side negative. That's why here anti-bonding interaction. You can find a subtraction kind of interface. So that here one bonding, second bonding, and this will be anti-bonding. This anti-bonding leads to one nodal plane here. In case the third level of energy of 1,3 butadiene, it is denoted with psi1, C1 psi1 minus C2 psi2 plus C3 psi3 minus C4 psi4. Here you can regard this as one antibonding node because plus minus interaction, here also plus minus interaction, so that two nodal planes can be observed here, right? For this third energy level, number of possible nodal planes are 2. For psi4 level, all are antibonding only. So 1, 2, 3 kind of antibonding interactions can be found. Subsequently, number of nodal planes also exactly same. For psi4, number of nodal planes are possible. Number of nodal planes are 3 only, right? So this is about the energy arrangement of all the energy levels. Being 1,3 butadiene is a 4 pi electron system. That's the reason why 4 energy levels are provided to this one. And it is a kind of sp2 hybridized system. Planar system will be present in this 1,3 butadiene, and 4 energy levels are denoted to this one. Now we have to represent this in terms of alpha and beta. For psi1 energy is provided with alpha plus 1.62 beta, where nodal planes are 0. For psi2 level, energy is denoted with alpha plus 0.62 beta, where nodal planes are only 1. For psi3 level, alpha minus 0.62 beta, where nodal planes are only 2. For psi4, energy is higher, and alpha minus 1.62 beta will be there, and possible nodal planes are 3, right? So these are the probable wave functions of various energy levels of these 1,3 butadiene pi orbital system, right? Among all, the given option will be 0.60 plus 0.37 minus 0.37 plus 0.60. Here, the representation is exactly similar to that of psi2 level. Psi2 level C1 psi1 plus C2 psi2 minus C3 psi3 minus C4 psi4. This level is exactly matching with the whatever parameter provided within the problem. That's the reason why corresponding psi2 energy level will be alpha plus 0.62 beta. Alpha plus 0.62 beta, that is option number 2. For question number 113, option number 2 will be the right answer. For this, we have predicted its energy. That's the reason why it will be option number 2. Let us move on to question number 114. The molecule AB2 shows the following IR and Raman spectra. IR and Raman spectra values are provided to us, and it is very familiar to us. It is very convenient to us in order to go with IR frequency values, right? Here, 3 different IR frequency values are provided. One is 2215 centimeter inverse, second is 1250 centimeter inverse, and third is about 560 centimeter inverse. 3 different IR frequency values are provided. It is very clear, it is very crystal clear that a lower frequency always denoted for a bending kind of vibration. When we compare the energy of bending and stretching vibrations, stretching will be always higher when compared to bending vibrations. That's why 560 is denoted for PQR, peak in the IR spectrum, denoted for its bending vibration. When we bend the molecule, if it is in linear structure, when we bend, so that angle will be changed. For that, 560 centimeter inverse energy is required for us, right? And the more to values, this is a valuable information for us in order to elucidate the structure and the point group symmetry of the molecule, right? So what is this? 2215 is the one parameter, and second is 1250 is another parameter. These two are given for stretching frequencies only. If 2 values are exactly identical, you can consider this as a symmetrical stretching. But 2 values are non-identical. One of the bond is having higher stretching frequency, another bond is having lower frequency. It is a triatomic molecule. AB2 is a kind of triatomic molecule. But both the bond non-identical stretching is observed in this. So we can say it is the asymmetrical stretching rather than symmetrical stretching. How can we say stretching? Because 2 stretching are not identical in nature. If one bond is very closer to the central one, what happens? That stretching requires higher energy. If another bond which is elongated in nature, in that case, excitation requires lower energy. So elongated bond requires lower energy, compressed bond requires higher energy of stretching. So this is a purely of asymmetric stretching. If the molecule is linear and asymmetric in nature, so we have to predict its point group symmetry. In order to predict its point group symmetry for linear molecule, the probable symmetry operations will be only 2. One is D infinitive V, second is C infinitive V. If molecule is linear and is highly symmetric in nature, means around the central atom, 2 bonds are equal in environment, and stretching is in the equal direction and equal probability. Both are elongated at the same time, otherwise both are compressed at the same time. Bond distance will be identical even by elongation and compression. That is said to be a symmetric stretching. If you go with the symmetric molecule, so that we can observe that kind of symmetry operation, and its point group symmetry is denoted as d infinitive b. Whereas asymmetric stretching molecule, asymmetric molecule was taken. Let us assume nitrous oxide, which already discussed in this December 2018 part B session only. We just discussed about this linear asymmetric molecule. Best example is nitrous oxide, whose point group symmetry was taken as infinitive V. Means how will be the arrangement? One of the oxygen will be there, which is with single bond, and either nitrogen will be there and double bond will be there. Here the double bond and N will be there. This is a kind of nitrous oxide means N2O, right? Where one side we have oxygen and either side nitrogen is there, being it is a linear but asymmetrical molecule. One of the bond is elongated for a longer distance, and either bond double bond, being it is a double bond nature, it will be somewhat less stretched, so that it is a kind of asymmetric stretching, asymmetric molecule. So that point group is denoted for this nitrous oxide will be C infinitive V. Same can be implied for this molecule also, because we assumed it is a kind of linear molecule. In this linear molecule, we already got clearance about its stretching frequency. It is a kind of asymmetric. Okay, being it is a linear and asymmetric, always it should be C infinitive V rather than D infinitive V. D infinitive V is given for symmetric, and C infinitive V is given for asymmetric molecule. So for this asymmetric molecule, C infinitive V symmetry should be given. So the structure will be linear asymmetrical, and point group symmetry will be C infinitive V. So for question number 114, option number 3 will be the right answer. Let us move on to question number 115. For a one-dimensional harmonic oscillator perturbed by XQ potential, sum of the first order and second order corrections to the ground state energy, right? So here one-dimensional box, it is the kind of physical chemistry particle in the one-dimensional box question was given here, where first order and second order, these two energies should be summed. Addition of these two energies should be carried, then only we have to predict, then only we will predict the entire energy of the system. So it is very clear that for first order energy perturbation, which is denoted with a 0, second order energy perturbation is given with minus, negative value. That may be any kind of integer of negative value. If we sum both the values, what happens? 0 plus any negative value, for example, 0 plus minus 10, what happens? The value will be minus 10 only. So when you compare with 0, always the value will be lesser than that one. So if we sum first order and second order energy levels of this one-dimensional particle in the one-dimensional box harmonic oscillator, so 0 plus any minus value, so obviously it will be lesser than 0 only. So the correct option for 115 will be option number 1. So question number 115, option number 1 will be the right answer based on first order perturbation and second order perturbation values. 0 plus any negative value, that will be lesser than 0 only, right? So that's why here question number 15, option number 1 will be the suitable answer. Let us move on to question number 116. Difference of average values of position X for the state of n is equal to 1, n is equal to 2. A particle confined in a one-dimensional box of length L was given with, right? Here, again, it is a part of physical chemistry where particle in one-dimensional box will be considered the length to be calculated now. So length to be calculated now. So X term is provided, that is a position, and different energy states are provided to us. Now let us move on to calculation of its box length. For that, psi is denoted with under root. Limitations are given as L to sine n into pi x by L. This is the empirical formula in order to predict this wave function amplitude of the wave, where n value is calculated as integration a minus a to a limitations psi star x psi dx. So this will be the formula in order to predict this state of the position, right? So it's always n value is given by L by 2. n value is given by L by 2. Here, how many possibilities we have? N is equal to 1 and even n is equal to 2. Two different values are given. So we have to, what they are asking for, difference of average values are required. Difference of average values are required. That means we have to take n1 minus n2. N1 value is L by 2 and even n2 value is also L by 2. So when we take the difference of these two, L by 2 minus L by 2, it will become 0. That's the reason why for question number 116, option number 4 will be the right answer, 0. So this is the box length L. Box length L will be calculated in this manner. For that purpose, we have to predict this n value, that two states n values can be subtracted so that we will get the final answer. So question number 116, option number 4 will be the answer. Let us move on to question number 117. The Hermitius apparatus among the following is. We have to predict which is the Hermitius apparatus. First, let us see what is the definition of Hermitius apparatus. Hermitian operator have a real eigenvalues, orthogonal eigenfunctions and the corresponding eigenfunctions from the complete bio-orthogonal system. Okay. So always Hermitius apparatus associated with real eigenfunctions and eigenvalues. Eigenfunctions and eigenvalues should be associated with this one. And always for linear molecule, it is denoted with A and A star. So A star is equal to A. This is the exact relation for this Hermitius apparatus for linear molecule. And this Hermitius apparatus is very essential to define position of the system, momentum of the system, and even kinetic energy of the system. For a given molecule, Hermitius apparatus used to calculate position, momentum, and kinetic energy of the system as well, right? For a single particle, if you are taking a single particle, no electric charge and no spin have been applied on that. In that case, P cap is denoted with, P cap is given as minus I h cut delta. H cut stands for reduced Planck's constant. I is the integer value, which is the imaginary unit. Delta stands for a gradient operator. Delta denoted for a gradient operator. So if we are having large excess of changes, so that delta value can be noted. If the value difference is very less for one spatial dimension, only one spatial dimension, we have to use infinitesimal change value, that instead of delta we have to go with d by dx value. Then P cap is equal to minus I h cut d by dx. This is for linear momentum operator, and infinitesimal change when applied, P operator is equal to minus I h cut d by dx. So that is provided in option number 2. For question number 117, right answer will be option number 2. Hermitian operator is minus I h cut d by dx. Let us move on to question number 118. The translational partition function for argon confined to the volume 1 liter at 300 Kelvin, having thermal wavelength 1.60 into 10 to the power 11 meters closest to 2, right? Translational partition function to be determined for the monoatomic gas, that is argon. Here, volume is given by 1 liter and the temperature provided 300 Kelvin, right? So the thermal wavelength value mu is given as 1.60 into 10 to the power 11. These are the parameters provided. We have to predict the translational partition function. For one-dimensional translational partition function is given as 2 pi mkt whole to the power 1 by 2 by h into L. For three-dimensional partitional function is denoted with 2 pi mkt whole to the power 3 by 2 by h cube and v, because L cube is nothing but v only, right? So now the formula becomes h by 2 pi kt, h by 2 pi mkt whole to the power 1 by 2 can be denoted with mu. Here we have 2 pi mkt, 3 by 2 by h cube value is there. So when we take reciprocal of this one, h by 2 pi kt m 2 pi mkt whole to the power 1 by 2, this is denoted with mu value, right? Mu is nothing but thermal wavelength, right? So if we substitute this mu value here, what happens? It will become Q translational is equal to, so this is into V. Here it is not a denominator value, this V is a into V. This is a numerator value only. It is not clearly mentioned. So it is a numerator value only. Now this entire term is converted into mu cube. So this will be in the reciprocal from, that's why mu can be taken in the denominator. V already present in the numerator value, that's why we are taking Q translational is equal to V by mu cube. What is the V? This volume is given as a 1 liter. This can be converted into meters by multiplying with 10 to the power minus 3. Mu value, the thermal wavelength is provided as 1.60 into 10 to the power 11. Q translational is equal to 10 to the power minus 3 by 1.60 into 10 to the power 11 whole cube. Meter cube, these two units get compensated. 10 to the power minus 3 by, when we are taking cube of this one, it will be converted into 4.096 into 10 to the power minus 33 it will be, right? Now, after calculating this entire term, it will be converted into 0.244 into 10 to the power 30. So it can be written in another form also, 2.44 into 10 to the power 29. So no units will be provided because both the units got compensated. For question number 118, option number 2 will be the right answer. Let us move on to question number 119. Consider a phase transition between two incompressible phases. The correct statement among the following is, here within the problem it is clearly mentioned that incompressible phases means even by applying pressure it is not possible to compress them. That means pressure term cannot be valid here. Even pressure applied, that will not impact the number of phases. Phase transition may not be possible. So that the transition is independent. The pressure is the right statement because within the problem they mentioned incompressible phases. Two incompressible phases, so that pressure term will not have any impact on this phase transition. So for question number 119, right answer will be option number 1 itself, right? Let us go with detailed explanation. Because of incompressibility, phase field identified volume fraction occupied, right? Volume fraction occupied by one of the phases. Okay, incompressibility, if incompressibility is there, so we have to go with its volume fraction, how extent volume occupied in the system of two phases. That term should be considered here, right? So for this question number 119, being it is an incompressible system, pressure term will not be valid. So it is independent of pressure. So 119 option number 1 will be the right answer. Let us move on to last question of the series. That is question number 120. The third and fourth lines in the rotational Raman spectrum of carbonyl are separated by 8 centimeter inverse. The carbonyl bond length is given by, we have to predict the carbonyl bond length by using this given data. This is a part of a physical chemistry. Rotational Raman spectra, it is the kind of spectroscopic analysis, right? Rotational Raman spectra was given. And spectral lines separation, line spacing in this Raman spectrum, that means microvibration is provided with 4B, 4B, 6B, 6B, 4B, 4B. What they're asking for, third and fourth lines difference. Here, with respect to this one, the first line, second line, third line, fourth line. Third and fourth line difference is given as 4B. Third and fourth line difference is given by 4B. That 4B value is provided to us, that is 8 centimeter inverse. 4B is equal to 8 centimeter inverse. Now B value is taken as 2 because B is equal to 8 by 2. 8 by 4 is nothing but 2 only, right? Now we have the empirical formula for this B. B being is the constant value. B is equal to H by 8 pi square. This is a square. 8 pi square IC centimeter inverse, right? I value is taken as mu r square. Mu is nothing but reduced mass. R is nothing but radius, right? So we can substitute this I value here. I value in this B equation. B is equal to H by 8 pi square. Instead of I, you r square. C value is present as such, right? H is the Planck's constant, 8 pi square, mu r square, C will be there. Okay. Now B value is known to us, that is 2. What we require? We require to determine CO bond length. In order to predict the bond length, the suitable term will be R here. The suitable term will be R. That's why we are taking this R term towards left side. This is R square, not R2. R square is equal to H by 8 pi square mu B, C, because we are taking this B term towards the side, and B value is 2, right? That's why you can substitute B value here. And when we are taking R square is equal to this value. R is equal to entire term will become under root. R is equal to under root H by 8 pi square mu BC it will be. R is equal to under root H by 8 pi square mu C into 2, because being B is 2, right? So 8 into 2, it will become 16. Now radius R, bond length R is given by under root H by 16 pi square mu C. H by 16 pi square mu C. This answer is exactly matching with option number 1. For question number 120, option number 1 will be the right answer. By this, we successfully completed the entire series. In this whole 10 questions have been completed. By this, December 2018 question paper part C and part B entire questions discussion have been completed. In the next session, we will go with the discussion of 2020 question paper. Very soon, we will go with that discussion of 2020 question paper. Hope this session will be very much useful for your further preparation, any kind of competitive exam related to chemistry, otherwise entrance examination. Thank you very much for your patience listening. Thank you one and all.